I am the Highland scribe Cheryl L. Hudson, storyteller. I am about to begin. Are you ready? I am the Highland scribe, scribe to the stones, to the winds, to the bloodlines that walk unseen. Come closer, closer still. You see, the fire's warm. But this tale tonight, this tale runs wild. Now, you see, not all travellers walk the roads. No, you see, some rode the tides, with songs for sails and silence for the road. So it was with a man named Callum Campbell from the Orkneys, born to a family of sea-savvy travellers, tinsmiths, storytellers alike. Callum came up on salt and wind. You see, his people moved not just by roads, but by the waves, trading, singing, fixing, and then vanishing with the tides. He had heard tales in every port, but none as strange or whispered as those about the Minch. You see, long afore engines roared and steel split the seas, the waters between the Outer Hebrides and mainland Scotland were ruled not by man, but by myth. And none were more feared than the blue men of the Minch. Fishermen spoke of them in hushed tones over mugs of dark ale, and sailors offered silver or song before crossing the strait. Children would be wide-eyed and curious, pressing close to their granny's knees as tales of old were told, the storm bringers, with skin the colour of the deep and eyes that glowed like kelp fire. It was said that they waited in the trough of the water, watching, listening, testing. And into this legend sailed Callum Campbell, a man of sharp tongue and sharper pride. Callum captained the Sea Thistle, a stout merchant vessel that had never known the loss or delay. With sky fading behind him and dusk thickening on the water, he grinned into the riding winds. "Oh, let the sea roar," he said aloud, "and let its ghosts try me if they dare." The crew shifted, uneasy. Oh, one old deckhand muttered away in a quiet prayer. Another slipped a dram of whiskey, sipping it overboard. A last-minute offering. But it was too late. The wind stopped. The sea stilled. And from the black water they rose, tall as men, cold as the grave, and as blue as a winter's shadow. They came without a splash, 3 of them, wading through the waves as if the sea were no more than a mist. Oh, their skin slick and blue like ink, their eyes pale fire, their brows stern as stone. The lead figure raised a long hand and pointed straight at Callum. "Name yourself, you sea fool," the creature hissed, "and answer, if you can, what walks the waves and sings the gale, but leaves no trace below." The crew backed away. One man crossed himself, another dropped to his knees. But Callum stood firm. hands on the wheel, jaw set like granite. "A shadow of a seabird," he said, voice steady. "High above, yet never seen below." The blue men gribbled, sea foam rising like breath around them. The second then stepped forward, his voice like water under ice. "You with a clever tongue, try this one. What feeds on the wind, yet huds nae teeth, and dies when the skies let go?" Callum blinked. The sea pulsed beneath him. A memory stirred. Childhood days in the Orkneys, lying back to watch the storm clouds build. "Storm cloud," he said. "It roars, it swells, then falls apart in rain." A stillness followed, unnatural and deep. The waves held their breath. The third approached. The eldest blue man rose higher from the sea, long hair whipping behind him like seaweed in a current. He leaned in close enough for Callum to smell the brine and the grave. "Last riddle, sailor man. Get it right and live. Fail and you drown. What cannot die, yet was ne'er born, and dances when men sin." Callum hesitated. This one was older, ancient. The sea stirred under him, dark and waiting. He gritted his teeth and answered, "The sea." Lightning flashed behind the blue men, and a long silence. Then they smiled, not kindly, but respectfully. And just as quietly as they'd risen, the blue men of the Minch slid back beneath the waves, taking their riddles with them. The sea began to breathe again. Waves lapped gently at the hull of the sea thistle. The wind, once felt as if it was strangled by the silence, had returned. A low sigh filling the sails, like a tired ghost exhaling. No one spoke for a long time. Callum stood motionless at the wheel, staring into space. His knuckles were white. Behind him, his crew slowly stirred, quietly and reverently, like worshippers leaving a chapel after a miracle or a warning. And by the time they reached the mainland, the sky had cleared and the stars were bright. But something had changed. The men avoided looking at the captain, not out of fear, but awe. Callum Campbell had stood before the myth and matched it word for word and lived. But Callum, he did not celebrate. He walked the length of the empty dock with his sea boots heavy as stone, and he looked out at the waters still behind him, and he dropped his cap into the harbour. "They could have taken me," he muttered to himself, "but they let me go. Why?" He thought about the riddles of their eyes, those glowing ancient eyes. No, a challenge. He realised it now. A test. and not just of wit, of humility. That night he ordered the ship repainted, her figurehead replaced with a carving of the three blue men, arms crossed, eyes watching, sea foam at their feet. And from that voyage on, Callum never crossed the Minch without first pouring whisky into the waves and whispering a verse into the deep. Even legends, he had learned, deserve respect. To this day, some say the waters between Skye and the mainland shift a little calmer when a song is sung or silver tossed overboard. And if you listen closely on stormy nights, far frae the shore, you might still hear a riddle. What cannot die, yet was ne'er born, and dances when men sin? If you do, answer it quickly, and answer it well, because the blue men are listening. I am the Highland Scribe, scribe to the stones, to the winds, to the bloodlines that walk unseen. And until the candle is lit again, sleep tight, wanderers.